And you can hear me? Yes. Very good. Let's start by finding a comfortable position. Close your eyes and just notice this moment. It's so easy to get taken by the experience. The idea of being a person in a situation and your life happening to that person and all the ideas and all the heaviness that comes from that. But in this moment, just leave that for now and just stay with what is. Just recognize what is here right now. You don't have to do anything in this moment, just to recognize it. I understand that that can feel like a doing, but it is just coming back to staying as awareness itself. And for the mind that goes into thought, that identify as something, this can feel too like a doing. But when you come back to it time and time again, you start to recognize that this is your nature. It does not demand anything of you. You don't have to become anything to be. You don't have to contort yourself in any way to fit in. And when you allow this moment to be, there can be a sense of slowing down, but also a slow sense of opening up. A movement that feels expansive. As soon as you rest in this space, you recognize its vastness. You recognize the natural beingness. this is not a temporal state that you go into. It's not some kind of escape to be free of your daily life. This is your nature. Prior to the idea of being a person in the world, you are just awareness. Maybe in your daily life you go around and talk about yourself as a person, relate to others with the idea of a person. But behind all that is always this pure awareness, that you can recognize all those thoughts, all those ideas. It can all be seen. And in that seeing, in that alertness, in that awareness, you notice that everything that is a phenomena in your experience have the qualities of coming and going. And those qualities, the more they are seen, makes it not so interesting to hold on to every phenomena, trying to keep it. The naturalness of being is to allow everything to be as it is. When it's coming, it's coming. When it's staying, when it's going, it's going. And the recognition of this beingness creates a deep stability, because this stability is not anchored in anything that is just a phenomena that comes and goes. It is in beingness itself, which is in fact the only thing that is stable in your experience. Because it has different qualities than a phenomena. It does not come and go. It is always. But it's not a thing. And you cannot hold on to it as a thing. You cannot achieve it as a thing. It is just your natural being. This awareness cannot be brought about by your intention to meditate. It comes when you relax into what is. You cannot will it. You cannot do it. It is beingness itself. And in that natural acceptance of this moment, is the foundation of that deep peace that permeates everything. That you automatically comes to when you don't meddle. You don't have to entertain your mind. You don't have to go with everything as soon as there is space to go with thoughts. But you have given the mind so much attention that it is used to it. That is what it's going to. Naturally, if there's just a little bit of space. But you don't have to go along with anything. You can just be as you are. And when the trying relaxes, the natural contentment is shown. The bliss of being. Shines through. The awareness that it's a source of love, empathy. That are just expressions of beingness. Everything is the expression of beingness. All your trying and strategizing is also just expressions of this beingness. And they will happen until you see. You see that the trying and strategizing is unnecessary. That you never needed to go anywhere. Fix anything. You can slowly open your eyes, move your body, stretch out your legs if you need to, move your hands. It's very common to have an idea of where meditation is going to take us. And also a story of what it has done in your life. And even if that can be your experience, that is not the truth about meditation. It will actually not take you anywhere. You won't progress on any sort of meditation path. The idea of getting better and better at meditation is ridiculous. Because all it does is reveal your true nature. And either we go with our true nature or we resist it. If you want to be very black and white about your life, you could say that there is only those two things. You either resist or you go with it. But it's usually not at all that simple. Because even if you want to go with it, you might resist it. Because your ideas of what it is to strategize, to be more in alignment with your true nature, might create division. Because it is not looking, it's another strategy. And this is what most spiritual seeking is. Trying a new strategy. I'm going to be in alignment with my true nature as much as I can. Okay. And you try with your ideas and you try with your effort to be more in line with it. You have the ideas of what this true nature is and you try to make your life more in line. And you might, even though you might have a sense that there's a very this is a very dualistic approach, you might still try it. And to many people it feels strange that it is so obvious, that it is so right here. We don't have to go anywhere. Just close the door. It's just Elin. It's just Elin. You can close the door. Okay. Sorry. Because it's difficult to see that it could be so simple. And usually our trust in awareness itself is not that strong. We think that there has to be something more to it. The simplicity of just being aware in this moment feels so, it's too little. It's so easy to think that it has to be more complex than that. There has to be something that I miss in that, because that just feels so simplistic. Until you start to just be with what is. And as soon as you see there is identity, you inquire into that identity. You inquire into the trying to come back. It might feel a bit mechanical at first. It might feel like it's just a play of words. But the more you inquire, the more you start to notice that you can really look for the idea of yourself. It's like you can sense the identity with the body, sense the things that you are so used to with identification with thoughts or the situation or whatever you see. Like you can observe the whole idea, the whole dualistic idea of perceiving. This is the quality of awareness. And usually you just take things for granted. You're just so used to your inner workings that you don't see something as something that you can observe, because you just assume that you are that. And it's so common to point to the outside and say, I am affected by this. This is what is creating my situation. It's because of this person, this society, these kind of thoughts, whatever it is. And since it to many people feels so safe to know the cause of things, it's so easy to assume, it's so easy to say, this is the cause of my misery. It is outside, and it is this certain thing that I am a victim of. Because otherwise you have to be with the uncertainty of awareness. And this is a beautiful uncertainty, but to many people it's too much. It's too much to be in the field of not knowing. But this is a beautiful space. This is where you belong. then there's a strange paradox in that field, that there is a clarity that comes with it. But it's not the clarity of knowing something specific. It's the clarity of being. You don't feel like you have to add anything. There's nothing lacking. The world don't seem very complicated in it, but you understand its infinite complexity. But you don't have the sense that I have to fix this complexity. And many people feel like if I just knew what small things in my life I could control and change, I would find happiness. I would find more peace. That it has to do with some kind of adjustment. But that again is pointing at the external and saying, you are causing me my sense of division, my sense of being isolated. Yes. Please take the mic.
If we experience resistance or that we're stuck, it just shows us, or where we're stuck, it just shows us where the resistance is, right? I just feel like I need guidance with this.
How to deal with the sense of resistance or sense of stuckness.
Yeah.
Because sometimes the sense of stuckness can be really easy if you can formulate it, but often it feels quite subtle and you don't really know what is needed. Is that the sense you have? Yes.
Yeah, number two, yeah.
Yes. And the beauty of beingness itself is that it wants to show you this. And all it requires is your trust. And you can say, universe, please show me. I feel lost. I don't know how to do this. I don't know how to come forward. I just feel stuck. Please show me. And see what happens. Have you tried it?
Yeah,
not like that.
No, not exactly, no.
No. You can be very direct. You can say exactly, I feel stuck, I don't know where to go, I don't know how to move in this. Show me. And then just see if you are what you are shown.
Yeah.
Be aware of it, be alert, be with it.
Yeah. So sometimes there can be clarity in unclarity. Do you understand?
There can come glimpses of clarity in the mind feels foggy and it feels not clear at all, and suddenly it just comes very quickly something that shows.
Yeah. But it can be like a sense of clarity that something is very unclear.
It's usually that the thing that you try to fix with it, the clarity can be that it's not fixable. Because there's always this kind of unclarity comes from trying. I usually I talk about the muddy glass of water, and you try to make the mud be less. You try to make the water clear, and you try and you try. But what you need is to just be aware and look, and then you can allow all the mud to come to the bottom of the glass, and the water is clear. But we always try. Do you understand? And this creates this fogginess that we feel, that everything feels unclear, because it becomes very complicated also, because you're so invested in so many things instead of just being aware of it. You're lending your identity to all these things. You don't have to become anything. We have this great capacity of thoughts and thinking, and we can conceptualize things, and we can create immense abstract worlds. And it's beautiful in a way. We can solve extremely complex problems, do all this. But we also entangle ourselves in a very complicated identity. If you look at a plant or a tree, you understand that there is not much complexity of identity in that. It just is. And in the same way, the isness of us is our naturalness. But we contort ourselves so much through identity. We try so many things. And we're so used to creating identities for certain things and to believing in it that is just, we just call it normal. And you talk to someone and you identify and you compare your identification with it in different ways, or you connect through discontent or whatever it is. In every situation, it's so easy to just go into another idea of identity. And I think for many people, the scary thing with it, when you start to see it, is that it feels like, but how am I going to connect with people? How am I going to connect with my colleagues that's always complaining on the coffee break? If I'm not into the complaining, if I don't care about it. And you can play the game a little, but you will not be very entertained by it, because it will do nothing for you. But I think this fear of not fitting in, or being odd, or leaving other people behind, for many people is difficult to deal with. That's where it's so valuable with having a context, a Sangha, and you feel like there are other people doing the same thing, their challenges are the same as mine. And I don't want to paint meditation in any light that it is just very pleasurable and nice, because many things in meditation is difficult. Because you have to be willing to look beyond what you have been conditioned with. To look beyond what you know. And I understand everyone who just want to be safe and to be in that thought bubble of what they know. Double down on it, feel safe with it, build walls with it. But it will always be challenged because it is just an idea in identity. And you will be so afraid of losing this world that you have created and the identity around it. You will be afraid of losing the body. You will be afraid of death. All these things. If you double down on that, it will be very, very prominent. But many people live like that, so I understand that it feels like a safe choice. It is not safe to be with what is. That will challenge you. That will be uncomfortable sometimes. But some people seem to have that spark. The I want to know spark. And at times it just seems completely crazy. It doesn't seem logical. It doesn't seem like it's the best thing to do, whatever. But it's still there. It's still longing. And you notice when you're in alignment with it, it seems to fall into place somehow. There seems to be a lot of meaning around it. There seems to be all these things, almost like the universe is pushing you along a little bit, massaging you in the right direction. And if that spark is in you, it feels like all the things that take from that creates a lot of friction, a lot of karma, a lot of unnecessary stuff. And it's very uncomfortable. And if you're in that place, that is beautiful. Because then meditation starts to become choiceless. You're beyond the point of you trying to chase meditation down, trying to bring it into your life as much as you can. And suddenly it feels like there is a momentum of meditation, whether you want it or not. You can still fight it probably, but it does not feel nice. And maybe the sense of autonomy from the egoic mind wants to have one last battle with it. And that will happen. You will try to say, I can make my life into whatever I want to. And you fight for it. You can always stay in your pockets of your fears and hold on to whatever feels safe. But if you really started to look, it becomes difficult. It feels false. You start to sense the unrealness of it. And in all this friction, in all this fight that you can have in you, seeing if you want to go along with it or not, all you're trying, there comes these moments of almost stupid bliss. It comes seemingly out of nowhere. And it's not like you really have chosen it, it just comes. It's just the beauty of being and silence that just suddenly shines through. And sometimes it's enough with your doubt. You feel like you're in a solid situation, you know the premises for the situation, but it does not, the realness of it is not strong enough. You don't believe the idea of yourself or the situation, and suddenly you just go into the deep sense of being. And you see a shift in emotions that you might not have experienced since you were a child. Children don't have much of the story, so they can just change emotional states very, very quickly. But adults have the stability of stories that makes them more adult, that creates that stability. And suddenly, when the illusion starts to break, you're just thrown out of. You go from your lowest low to just freedom in a second. It cannot stick. Because identity needs you to believe in it for it to be solid. If you don't believe, and even if you only doubt, that is enough. That is enough. When you start to doubt the realness of your experiences, of your emotional state and how you're identified with it, there's something in you that does not buy it completely. Then the ego starts to lose its grip. You inquire into something. You might feel like you're in a very dark space and you inquire into who this is happening to, and it just lets go. These kind of things. Because it is the heaviness of identification needs your belief. Needs that you uphold your belief and feed it, actually. If there is not a continuous stream of separation and the identification with that, it will go. Don't believe me, try. Look. See in situations. If you just can stay as awareness, you start to see the cracks. The solidity of it cannot stay. Maybe it seems very strong, maybe it seems like it's lingering. but it cannot stay. It has to be believed in, and it has to be reinforced. That's why identity is not natural, because it needs to be upheld. It's just that we are upholding it. It needs to be believed in again and again to create separation. If that is broken, and you are just with the stillness, or you just allow the uncertainty of being, there will be space. And maybe the experience feels confusing and you don't see what is what, and it feels difficult to be aware of it. But as you come back to awareness, it will be clearer, because as that little effort of just trying to remember awareness shows whatever creates the distraction, the identification. And most of us are completely blind to that. We're just used to it. We just identify with it. When it comes, we just automatically go with it. So if you time and time again come back to being aware of it, you will see. You will see how it tries, how it hooks you in, what it does, how it gets more desperate when you don't. You start to be aware of the things that you have a strong weakness to when it comes to identity, which are the easiest buttons to push, the fears that you go with the most. And the ego is tricky because it wants to have these pockets of safety to go to. So it doesn't want to expose everything. It wants to keep. And that makes the blind spots even more difficult sometimes. It can feel like certain things, and you start to look at them, and there's just so much noise in the mind of that it feels like it's not possible to keep the concentration. It just makes a lot of noise, because it is some kind of safe spot where you go a lot, and you just want to keep that in the dark. The mind can be have a lot of resistance to that. And it loves to say, this urge or this desire is too strong. You cannot resist that. Or it's so necessary. This is your safety. All these things. Or if you push the ego, it can say things like, but this is your safe zone. This is where you don't have to bring in awareness and meditation. You can just have this little piece left. You have to have a breather sometimes. You have to be able to distract the mind. So why would you go through all this? All the things we talk about now, all the challenges that you will meet on your spiritual path, all the things that are difficult. because there's a deep longing for freedom. And that thirst is not quenched by more doing. And actually the suffering that is the real suffering that most people experience, the suffering of feeling dissatisfied with life, is great on the spiritual path. Because the more you look, you will only come to one conclusion, and that is, it's identification and the sense of being separate from the experience that creates this. The whole idea of me being a body and a person, and that there is a world out there, and somehow things from that outside world have to be collected to bring about some kind of unity. That is the idea that most people have, in some variation of that they need the outside world for that. But the clearer it becomes that everything is just awareness, there is no outside like that. There is just this. And the sense of completion doesn't come from the sense of separation. Because you will see that that is impossible. Even if you have all the stuff, everything that you ever wished for. All the material things, all the possessions, all the relationships, all the compliments, all the attention from the outside, fame, whatever you desire. I saw one study about happiness that said, they called it one of the keys to happiness seemed to be to lower your expectations of life. I thought that was funny. But what that really means is that people that are content with what they have are more happy. But in a society where it's held high to create your own life and all these ambitious ideas, I think it's difficult for many people to swallow. That the acceptance of this moment as it is what determines your sense of happiness. But it is very obvious. The more you look, the more obvious it is. And the more you identify and the more you try, and even if it is in spirituality, some people are really, really determined in spirituality and just go for it. I'm going to sit a lot, I'm going to go on a lot of retreats, I'm going to really do this meditation thing. And with that mindset creates a lot of duality. Because it all the time says, you are not where you should be. Do you understand? And that feels like such the paradox to many people. what I hear from most people that are into any spiritual practice is that they should apply themselves more. It's so common that people say, I should practice more, I should apply myself a little more. But trying more creates more separation. So it is much more the way is not to try, it is to be. So when awareness itself starts to just stay, there is the alignment. As soon as there is trying, there is more meddling. And sometimes you have to try. If you have a belief in it, you have to try until you give up. Or until you see something else.
Meddling, is that kind of like trying or manipulating?
Yes.
Yeah, okay. Mm.
Meddling just means that you in some way have a feeling that you have to fix it, or you have to in some way control it. And it can just be your sadhana or whatever, that there is some, and I often stress that sincerity is much more important than effort. Because if there is sincerity, you will apply effort at the right time. Because you're interested in knowing, not in the idea of a goal of what meditation should do for you. And I also want to stress that it's nothing wrong with having that view many people have that view that there is somewhere they should go with it. But it comes from, we want to be very frank about it, it comes from ignorance. It is not seeing that creates that.
It seems so ingrained in this culture.
I think it's not so much the culture, I think that is the it is the nature of the ego, the nature of feeling separate, to try to feel whole. And it's just in that effort what that gets projected on. Because maybe before you were into spirituality, you saw it in something else that needed to be fixed. You thought that maybe if I just create some psychological stability through something, or whatever it is. And then you start to notice that there is something deeper that can be, and then you start to strive. Then you start to strive in spiritual terms. But it is the same striving. It is the same when someone is saying that they want to feel whole through the relationship, or they want to feel purpose through their job, or whatever it is. That is the same kind of striving for something to feel whole with. But all this longing is it's always for the same thing, is to be united with what is. People don't actually long for different things. On the surface, it can seem like that, but anyone that looks they will say, yes, but I want to just feel at peace, and they can seem to be doing things that are completely counterproductive to that, but it's just their belief that it will somehow create. I will just come to this point where it's done.
Yeah, but that's something interesting. I think, like sometimes, I think I can be against the mind, or obviously, but I mean that you just want it to be quiet, or that it should be more relaxed, but maybe the mind actually does something that it believes it makes. I mean, it believes it makes something.
Yes,
that it's doing something useful.
Yes,
And and maybe if we can just, maybe it wants to be acknowledged, and just like, but maybe we can just like.
but the problem with the mind is that it will always call for attention. It will always say, this thing is important, you have to deal with this now. And even if it was nothing a few moments ago, and you suddenly realize that there is something really important happening, and you remember something, and then you go into that thought, and it just takes over everything. 5 minutes ago, you didn't even remember that you had to do that. But it becomes so important and so prevalent as soon as you remember it. Oh, I forgot to call this person, and da-da-da-da. And it goes in maybe into panic that it's been so long and I forgot it and I'm not a good friend, or whatever it is. It's so easy for the mind. It wants to say that everything is important and has some validity to it. So the best thing is to check. To see. Stay with the thoughts, and if they come and go, and see what happens. What is it that I believe I am, and what is the relationship to this thought? And why do I go into panic every time that kind of thought comes? And why does it override everything? Suddenly, my sadhana is not important. Being aware of the moment is not important. It just takes over everything. And there are no things that are like that. There are no thoughts that have that kind of importance.
No, but I think you said something in line with that the mind goes for that. That usually works.
Yes.
Yeah.
So if you are triggered by something, by pain in the body, by a certain, it will go to that. And people can be very good at observing their thoughts in many areas, and then they can just have a weakness for something. Let's say, for example, pain in the body, and they cannot deal with that. That becomes so big and it takes over completely. And they worry about it, and is my body gonna... There's so much identity with it. And almost everything else is just... They can just be watchful. And this is how the mind creates these islands of ego that can still exist. And it can be very persuasive and very strong about them, especially if you say, I'm going to watch everything. I'm going to just stay as awareness during the day, come back to it time and time again. And the ego feels very, very challenged by that. And then it can almost create like a very crystallized version of itself. The things that it desires becomes very amplified in that. But it also really shows the mechanics of the egoic mind. It exposes itself usually in these things. Because the harder it pulls, the clearer it will be that it is nothing, that it is just trying, and that it always needs your consent and your belief for it to continue. What is left when you just stay? When you just stay as you are? What can the mind do? You're out walking and the mind wants to keep you entertained, but you come back to, I'm just going to watch. You just notice yourself going to the supermarket, picking out the things you need, going about your day. Don't have to engage in everything that the minds want to entertain you with. There can be restlessness at first. Feels like nothing is happening. You feel uncertain. Feel perhaps even disoriented. And then it spontaneously comes in your everyday life, in your normal things. The bliss of awareness. The Ananda of the Atman, the Atmananda. Any questions today?
I have a question.
Yes.
I've heard you a couple of times speaking about karma, how you can create karma for yourself, like more shit to deal with or something. And I've noticed, I'm curious to hear you speak more about this, or what you mean by this.
Yes.
I've not heard these teachings about karma in
No.
these.
I understand. The way that karma has been interpreted by the West and is used in popular culture is not the way that I use karma. I can make that clear because in the sense that you have a score sheet of karma points, and if you do good things you get good karma points, and if you do bad things you get bad karma points, is a very is the Western popularized idea of that there is someone judging you in your life. But
and Tibetan way as well. I was studying in this Tibetan school and found it to be quite almost like the Catholicism of Buddhism, where they would have multiplying days. And if you would spill the offering bowl on a multiplying day, you would have even more aeons of karma, bad karma. And I had a friend who lived there in the centre with me. He went away with an anxiety attack in an ambulance on a multiplying day because he was so terrified to do anything.
Yeah.
Anyway, I was really curious because
Yes, but because for myself, I was used to this idea that seemed to be both prevalent in certain Buddhist circles and in the West, that you accumulate karma like that. But I got very curious about it because I read Nisargadatta this many years ago, and he said that you get rid of karma. And then I was like, what? Wait, what? What is getting rid of karma? How does that work? So then I started to look into what Nisargadatta meant by karma. And then I started to just understand that whatever you identify with creates more actions, creates more karma.
What do you mean when you say creates more actions?
Yes, because you identify with it. Okay, let's take an example. You identify with a situation that you don't have enough of something. You don't have enough resources for doing something. And as soon as that thought has taken hold, you start to create actions to get those resources that you need. And that also creates the idea that people who want the same resource that you want, and the resource could be attention or whatever thing in your life, and that they are your competition. And now you have a whole way of acting around people who wants the same thing that you want because you're in competition with them, and that creates all kinds of action, and you try to block them in ways, and you try to get ahead of them, and all this. This is karma. If you don't identify with the thought that you need that thing, the karma is never created. You don't believe it. It's not having a continuation. That is how karma leaves you. And that is also connected to when you don't create any more karma, then old vasanas, old tendencies that you have, old karma is coming out and up. And you have the chance again to deal with it. If you react to it, it continues its karma. If you don't, the karma stops.
What did you call old
Vasanas.
Vasanas.
Yes, in the Buddhist tradition they call them samskaras, I think. The old tendencies that have been pushed down, and when the mind becomes quiet, they have the tendency to come up. In Vedanta we say vasanas. So in the beginning, when the mind starts to become quiet, it can be quite, for some people it's quite violent how they come out. It feels like old things. Oh, I thought I was done with these kind of feelings or relationships or emotions or whatever it is. They come up. But it has you feel so done with them when they have showed themselves and there is awareness of it and it has been expressed. You don't have to, I just say this always, you don't have to do anything with them. You don't have to fix them. They're not there to be dissected or analyzed. You can just let them go.
This is like the story of the Buddha meditating and the Maras, or it reminds me of the story of them getting stronger and stronger.
Yes.
The fear is really trying to pull you back, like, no, there's something you have to look here. You're really gonna, your partner is going to abandon you, or something.
Or people won't understand you anymore. You're going insane. You're gonna be alone. All these things. Those are usually very deep rooted fears that come up. And all these things come when the mind becomes quiet.
I feel resonance with this. When you talk about this, I feel how something in me recognizes it and wants to learn more how I feel like I can see myself creating many, many, many actions for myself sometimes.
Yes.
And when you're talking, and I want to be able to catch it and to understand it more, so when it's happening in front of me, I can recognize it and witness it. This is what is happening now. I'm in my fear and I'm creating many, many, many.
Yes. Just be careful with the analysis of it, because that can just create more karma also. Because if you take it as something that you have to fix, then you're again identified as someone who has a problem they have to fix, and you just continue these streams. And I think that is so common, so that's why I'm saying that. So also just let them come up and allow them to go.
If I may, I have another question about that.
Yes.
Because I found when I was in this Tibetan school, it was really like this thorough academic kind of way. Like, okay, then you just ask your questions, ask, go, because eventually the mind, it loves to analyze, and it will eventually, if you use that tool of the mind to analyze on the thing, eventually it can't help but see the answer, like see itself. And I wonder if maybe this is not so different to inquiry. It's a way of being looking. And I really appreciate these teachings. And I don't know if it's just my ego telling me lies, but sometimes I feel like some part of me feels like it longs, I want to, okay, you want some food? Okay, here's some food for you to mind, to nibble on. Then you will contemplate. If you really need to work all the cogs. And I have a question. What is if it is really so unbeneficial?
I think to contemplate on what happiness is, the meaning of life, all these things that people, I think that is a very good way to first find your way to what is.
Or emptiness teachings, like touching the elephant all different places, or what is the body, or these lines of analysis of finding, oh, I can't tell where my body ends really, because is the breath coming in? Is that my body?
Yes.
These things. This is for you inquiry, or?
Yes, I would say that those things are more into the realm of contemplating, because inquiry is not really looking for any answers. As soon as you're in contemplation and you're just pondering what is happiness, you come to some kind of conclusion, even if that conclusion is, I cannot know it with words, for example, can be a conclusion. But when it comes to inquiry, it's more specific, with going after the source of you. Inquiry is made to look for who is the one trying all these things on the spiritual path. Who is the one trying to understand, trying to get somewhere, trying to be more spiritual, trying to be less of something, trying to be nothing. All those tryings requires the identification of someone going somewhere. Yeah. And that is what inquiry addresses. And the more you inquire into that, the less your interest becomes in this becoming. You start to be not interested in becoming. and not even becoming a meditator or a better or perfect. None of those things, they start to lose their appeal. The only thing that comes into your attention is awareness itself. Because you notice that the experience of awareness in this moment is all there is. And not in a metaphorical or philosophical way, but in actuality. And to me, this was a big revelation, that I thought that on some level, when I heard my teachers talk about it, I thought it was more of a metaphor of everything being one, or that is not so experiential, and that awareness somehow also had some kind of more philosophical qualities. And to me it was a big surprise that it was so practical, that this moment is really all there is. And even if we talk about the pitfalls of meditation and we try to just reveal all the dark sides, I cannot do it without inside there is a warm smile, because the beauty of this simple awareness is permeating everything. And when people say, yes, but it's like this, and I'm trying this, and I'm strategizing like that, it's like they're pointing at the clouds in the sky, and they say, look, there are clouds. That means there is no sun. And I said, that is ridiculous. The sun is always there. You just can't see it right now. I'm not sure. Let's see. But so it's just a knowing of that the sun is there. And even if the clouds would come in, it would still be that you don't believe them. You don't believe them to be the whole sky. You know that there is always sun. The sun is always felt even through the clouds. And this is what when I refer to that you start to doubt the realness of your emotions, of your experiences, that they don't have the substance that they once had. They just lose their realness. Did I answer your question, Rebecca? Yes. Okay, Ola.
So when you say doubt, so this is kind of the same as seeing through their deception.
Yes, it is. It has to do with how much you believe the things that you experience. Because when you're completely taken by them, we could call that like a trance. It's like you're in a certain emotional state, but usually you don't realize that you're in that state. You don't realize that you go around and you're irritated, but you think that everyone is doing things to disturb you. You understand? Yeah. And you don't see yourself as an irritated person. You think that you're just neutral, but you have that. That is the trance of the mind. That is when you're completely caught by that part of identity. And as you know, it's very difficult to see that. You just think that you're as normal, but you project all those things onto your surroundings, and you see persons in that light. And as soon as that falls, as I know that you also experience, then you feel very clear, and it's just the present moment, and you see someone and they just seem very lovely, even if they're irritated. You see it's like you see the underlying beauty. You see the sun behind the clouds. So that is what you see. You see sun in everyone. And usually that is just what people call a good day. Is that they are less identified. Did I answer your question? Yes. The ego makes everything very, very complex. As soon as you identify with things, you have so many things to deal with, you have so many things to do. There's so much that has to be solved. There's so much that has to be fixed. You feel all these ideas in time stack up, and you start to feel stressed that there is so much to do, all this. And it springs from just the first thought that you are someone that this is happening to. Otherwise, life is just happening, as it is anyway. But we put these labels on things. We say, there are too many things that has to be done before this time. I have to be super stressed about this. There's too much to do, too little time. And then you go into the mode of that feeling that you don't have enough time. And you're identified with it. And I think everyone has had this experience. And that is what creates it. It's all fictional, because whatever is needed to do, if it doesn't really fit in this time frame, it does not fit. It won't be able to be made or happen. So the acceptance of it creates also a peace of mind that becomes much more, yes, okay, there are too many things to do here. I have to take some of them and do them tomorrow. Or someone else has to do them. Done. And it becomes very, very easy, even if it has to do with planning or it has to, but as soon as when you feel like you're not enough, then you also have to prove yourself to do all these things in this time frame. And all the things, you see how sticky identification is? And it just creates also a sense, you lose your own integrity in it. You won't set your boundaries because you think that you are not enough. And that is a part of the whole experience of feeling separate. So everything comes from the same source. And when it doesn't, it becomes very, very simple. But when it's identified, it becomes very, very complex. And it always feels like there is not enough, because that is the suffering that we have through separation. And just the remembrance of that life is just happening is very, very simple, but it contains all that. And I think that it can also help just to be with the thought that you are not a person becoming. You are not a someone going somewhere. You are just beingness itself. This is what we forget. We become someone and then we suffer that someone. And it's so easy to go into strategies and to fix everything and to be more like something and try all these things. But that it's just more heaviness in the way that you have to uphold more. And it's a great thing to contemplate on your life. What is life? What is a quality life? What is the beauty of this? What is it that makes life beautiful? Is it bringing more into it? Or is it allowing it to be as it is? And when you're with someone that you enjoy, what brings out the best in them? To allow them to be as they are, or you're trying to push and fix them? It's so obvious. And what does everyone want? To be accepted and loved as they are. These are the qualities of awareness. You can believe that they're out there and that you need it from someone, but that is the qualities that are in you. Very good. Any more questions? You can sing something, perhaps? Jai Jai Shri Radhe, 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 Jai Jai Shri Radhe. 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 May everyone find the peace that is naturally here in this moment. This infinite ocean of stillness that brings about everything. The source from where every phenomena comes, stays for a little while and goes. This deep ocean of awareness that permeates everything. where becoming becomes futile. Thank you. Okay. See you.